Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Duffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for some more of yet again for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more of Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll for the Nintendo Wii. So last time we have managed to go through the first world in this game, which appears to be Monkey Island. Simple and very easy world, easily one of the easiest worlds in the entire game. And today, we're about to be continuing things on and move on to the forms of World 2, which is known as Excavation Site, which I do apologize with that specific pronunciation of this particular world right there, but from what I can tell, it's like a desert-themed world, because you can definitely see some of those familiar pyramids in the background, but it's kind of weird they're able to actually include the windmill, as well as those little spinning cogwheels and stuff like that. But then again, it's video game logic aside of things. But anyways, let's dive right in. And that was actually the longest transmission of that specific JoJo or Jam's interactions right there. So yet again, we need to go through the same 10 stages as before, so either way, actually kind of thing about it is that the first world, especially noticeable the second world, is actually pretty short. Unless if you know what you're doing, especially noticeable you have to dodge a lot of those annoying placement blocks and stuff like that, which again I'll point it out whenever we get to the future worlds in this game, including the 7th and the final main world. But either way though, today's day is the forms of, I want to say today it's 5th of February, if I recall correctly, but then again, I really need to double check on the actual calendars and stuff like that for that specific matter, but then again though, nothing really does matters to me though, so actually kind of thinking about it, I actually do really like this music in the background, because although, despite the fact that it usually takes place in a desert-themed world, it can expect it to be able to actually add in some of those Egyptian kind of music there, but no, we get ourselves some sort of like a jazzy feel to it, so oh yeah, speaking of the soundtrack actually, it's the fact that we're no longer going to be hearing exactly copies of the music from the likes of Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz or something like that, probably because of how the fact that, well, I'm pretty sure that the actual soundtrack in this game is relatively new, even though, despite the fact that this game has been out for about, you know, entire decade ago, so and yeah, like before, like the previous Super Monkey Ball games, is the fact that we need to, well, consistently avoid those bumpers, because if you know what happens if you dare touch the bumpers, then it will screw you up in journey forms to the later worlds. And there's not much else I can say about this, honestly, apart from the fact that, well, as you can see on screen right now, I'm going to be selecting Mimi for this world, because otherwise, though, although unfortunately though, whenever we get to World 4, then I'll probably pretty much know what I'm gonna talk about this and doing at some point next Monday, because, you know, that's how the actual uploading system as far as this is concerned with that specific stuff. Oh yeah, one thing I totally forgot to mention about this ever since during the likes of in the last video is that ever since in Super Monkey Ball 2, and especially noticeable with Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, and even especially noticeable with Touch and Roll, Adventure, and I think that's about it basically. Every single levels in this game has actually got some names onto them, so even then, although it will continue that tradition and during Super Monkey Ball 3D as well as Banana Splits to top it off, so either way though, that's something that's worth mentioning for that point, so but then again, not much else has been going on for this point in time, folks, I'm afraid, guys, apart from the fact that, well, we've only got about a world classified for same for about, I think we got about, oh jeez, I think I've lost count for our memories at this point in time, folks, because then again though, that we pretty much fake when it comes to news and updates. Although, despite the fact that we got ourselves something interesting to the table, for those of you the Animal Crossing fans out there, recently that Nintendo has just announced there's going to be a special edition console with the Nintendo Switch, alongside with the actual Animal Crossing New Horizons game on a digital download code. And as far as I've noticed something right from the start, despite the fact I'm probably not going to get it, because I've already got one already, and for what I've seen, the actual console design, when it comes to Animal Crossing themed Nintendo Switch, I think the ones they're going to be on about is, of course, the actual charging dock, Looks pretty cool though, especially we got ourselves a much more different color of all things that we got ourselves just white, which is a little bit different from what I expected compared to the forms of the previous special edition variations of these Nintendo Switches, because all it gets in the previous versions is that they obviously inserted these, specifically the actual coated paint of character portraits and stuff like that, which I think that's far from the case. But at least we got ourselves Tom Nook as the actual Nintendo Switch dock display and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And also to top it off is of course the new colors of Joy-Con controllers they actually did announce with, and that is of course, I would say light green and I would say turquoise blue if I recall correctly, but then again though I need to look it up on the different colors and stuff like that, which I will say, these colors do look very, very cool. Especially noticeable on the back of these Joy-Con controllers, they actually got some sort of white underneath it, which is pretty cool though. But even then though, it's the only coolest part about that specific, you know, the game bundle and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, all things considered. And one thing I should probably mention about this right away also is the fact that according to the forms of the YouTube channel called, I won't classify for saying, you know, the T-Bit Gaming did point things out. There was actually, he did discuss upon the forms of the Mario Party game on the arcade machine. Specifically, the international version of that specific game I was talking about is, of course, Mario Party Challenge Road. Now, he did manage to point things out right away. Is the fact that, well, for the actual international version, according to the forms of his description, he did say about the fact that we got ourselves the forms of some sort of like a prototype version, and aside from the prototype version that's been already pointing things out, I've noticed there's some slight differences here and there, although, actually, I'll probably not going to talk about it until whenever we get to on Friday or sometime, but then again though, we'll point it out whenever we get to it, so... Anyways though, and as you can see, we now come across into those pitfalls now, so either way though, like before, we need to simply avoid them, because if we somehow fall off, then otherwise we'll lose a life. So yeah, you just have to be very careful with that specific, you know, bottomless pits down below. In fact, this particular level reminds me of that one level from the likes of how it does in Super Monkey Ball Deluxe almost, except, well, you don't need analog controls or anything like that, so you have to like, tilt the Wii remote or tilt your body to able to adjust the balance of the Wii balance board and stuff. So, oh yeah, we have ourselves Spin the Wheel song, which is vocals by Inera George, which either way though, still I found this music is so enjoyable to listen to. But I will say this right away, is the fact that I'm not a big fan of the Final World's music, which I pointed out whenever we get to it in 2 weeks time, because well, obviously, unlike Banana Blitz, this particular game is going to be so short. Like, literally short. Like, we'll point it out whenever we get to my final thoughts of this game, until, well, specifically later on, in the middle portion of February. Because, you know, since we're on February still, this means we get ourselves a leap year system, meaning that we got 29 days as opposed to 28, because... Otherwise though, because, you know, with the Tokyo 2020 Olympics will be on its way, so I think it's pretty understandable for able to actually include the extra day of anything else for this reside, so... And as you can see on that little center hole over there, it's now in a different shape, which appears to be the banana, so either way, well, we still got ourselves those 4 simple circular holes in each corners, so, but then again, there's not much else to say about this here, apart from the fact that, well, these particular sequences, much like the forms of how it does it, like, although as I mentioned this before, that you can't actually skip one of these credit sequence, you know, just like any other games, like, when you first time playing through Monkey Ball 1, and especially noticeable with, I won't classify for saying, Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll as well, that game also has, you know, unskippable, you know, credit sequence and stuff like that, which is kind of a shame, but at least I can at least show you off of how the fact what the actual tilting table looks like, and especially noticeable that, well, unlike in Monkey Ball Touch and Roll, which we'll point it out whenever we get to that Let's Play in the future, that it feels pretty much exactly identical. But at least in this game though, at least it does have a different tilting table as well as a different vocal theme music, which either way though, that's not much else I can say about it, as well as the actual cogwheels on each side of the actual table. So yeah, you probably get the drill for that. So now, I suppose another thing I'd like to discuss upon actually is the fact that, well, we've only got about likely 5 days left until the forms of My Little Pony Rainbow Road Trip DVD for the UK version will be released. So, and also the same applies for the forms of, well, usually recently Frozen 2 got the forms of the DVD release at long last, which I think is going to be releasing on 30th of March, which I'm looking forward to rewatching that film again. But this time around though, I'm probably not going to cry over it though, because, well, I'm not going to spoil the entire ending obviously, because, you know, you don't want any of the kids wants to spoil the actual ending to the actual films themselves, which I always attempt to do that, because either way though, unlike certain YouTube channels I know, Maxi10, I'm looking at right at you at the moment, but let's not get ahead of ourselves from this point onwards, because otherwise though, we are, you know, able to progress for the actual Let's Play itself like this. So, and also recently is the fact that I'm pretty sure that Piglet has now got started with his Let's Play of, you know, Yoshi's Crafted World recently yesterday. So either way though, because obviously I've already done Yoshi's Woolly World last year, so I figured that Piglet might actually do Yoshi's Crafted World. Even though despite the fact that he's already done Kirby's Epic Yarn, which is one of those good field games development games, which, you know, that comes across as like, I don't know, I just can't think of myself at this point, guys. I really do apologize for that. But, yeah, I digress though. So World 2 is being completed all in all, so there's not much else to discuss. So anyways, I think we should probably end things off at this point here. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll. Is the fact that we're going to be moving on to World 3, which appears to be, well, we're going to be diving down underwater for specifically Champion Sea, which either way, things can get a little bit more familiar for those of you probably wondering about the previous games for sure, so you know. See you guys on Friday. Later, fellas.